Hello and welcome back to the Who Herald. My name is Leo. And next to me is Louie. My gosh, my brain can't handle that. Hello, thank you so much for tuning in to our little channel here on YouTube and Spotify and what else do we have it? Apple, not SoundCloud.
No, but Amazon Music.
Amazon Music. Thank you. Wherever you're listening, thank you for tuning in. We are continuing our series of our reviews for this new season of Doctor Who Season 2/Season 15.
Yes.
Oh, Series 15.
Series 15.
Of Doctor Who.
Wow.
Yes.
And what is this episode called, Leo?
This episode is called Lux.
Lux.
I wasn't thrilled about the title of the episode originally. I've come to terms with it. I think it's knowing what I know now, I am fine with this title. Let me tell you. Yes.
It really gave me the wrong idea because I really thought it was a prequel episode to the one character from Midnight in the Library, Silence in the Library.
Oh, like the Lux Corporation?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Okay. So you thought
that
was
a joke. I just thought about that earlier today.
Okay. I was just wondering if you actually thought that because that could be a totally reasonable thing to think about. Was it the Lux Corporation? Or was it the Lux? Was it pronounced something different?
It was I don't know. It was Lux something.
Lux something. Well, that's interesting. I remember we said that in our last episode. We did check that out. We did an episode of the Robot Revolution, and we talked about. The Lux compilation.
The Lux compilation.
The Lux Corporation. Or did we just say that in our monster review, in our monster fights video? I can't remember.
Leo, you're kind of asking a lot from me right now.
You know, I'm just trying to subtly just, nudge in and tell people about the other videos that we were doing. Check that out as well. We are a very new channel here.
Yes, we are.
We have about like 2 other videos or something like that. 3 if you count our intro video. And we're very new, but we are beaming in excitement because we are massive Doctor Who fans. And we were very excited to review this and continue on our review. Now, to give you all kind of like how we do this, for our review, we're just going to do like our overall thoughts. And then we'll go into our spoiler positives and negatives. Is there anything we want to say before we go into our overall thoughts, Louis Sebastian?
Not really. Just like
really.
And subscribe.
Like and subscribe. If you like Doctor Who.
If you like Doctor Who. Wait, what's like an AI TikTok voice? If you like Doctor Who. Or like Scream.
If you
Yeah.
Banter. How great was that banter?
That was
right
good
banter at the start. But look, we won't waste more of your time. We'll get straight into the review.
Leo, what are your overall thoughts?
Overall thoughts. So let me tell you something here. I thought it was a good episode.
Why'd you?
No, it was a. I don't know. Let me tell you something.
Okay.
I am a victim of the overhype train.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I am a victim of that. I know sometimes it's not good to do this. And I know it was fine for some people. They read the reviews and they were totally fine with it. But I read the reviews and people have called this, the defining episode of this new era, 15's best episode. Called this probably the best Disney episode. And listen, in my opinion, it might be. But I was expecting so much more to be in this episode than there actually was, and that's why I kind of came out of it feeling a little bit disappointed. I don't think what we got was bad.
No.
I think this is a good episode and a great episode, but I came out, I was thinking, oh, this is going to blow my mind, and it just ended up being just a really great episode.
Yeah, I think I agree with a lot of that because I think a lot of what is in this episode is really cool. It's just we don't get a lot of it.
Yeah.
So it's the premise. Everyone knows the premise. It's a little cartoon guy voiced by Alan Cummings.
In the 1950s, there's a cinema where there's an event happens where this cartoon guy comes to life and
wreaks havoc
and takes
15 prisoners.
15 people. Well, they don't know what happened. Did they die or whatever?
Whoa.
And the Doctor and Belinda land and want to investigate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the premise of the episode.
Yeah, so I think all the cartoony stuff and all the stuff that's really the driving force and like what makes this episode unique is really cool. The idea of it is really excellent, and the stuff we see is really cool. It's just it doesn't drive the plot or make the episode actually stand out because it doesn't contribute. Because I'll lean this to an episode. This is going to be a weird comparison, but an episode of Lucifer. in the last season, when they went to a streaming service, oh my God, in Netflix, they had an animated episode where the whole episode wasn't animated, but segments were. And like a 10-minute segment was animated. And that felt much more like the animation was crucial to what they were doing in the plot. And that there was actual metaphorical implications for the characters, and was a really interesting way to explore the different arc of that season. Of course, if you add animation to your episode, it doesn't have to automatically mean it has to be something like metaphorical or anything other than that. But I think this is pretty much a normal episode of Doctor Who, because I feel like a lot of this stuff has happened before, like them getting caught and then them being transported to a weird wacky thing. This one is like, but it's animated, which is great. I love that. But a lot of it is just, okay, what do we get from it? A cool visual and it just kind of, I don't know, kind of feels like it was going through the motions a bit. Halfway through the episode, it felt like we're kind of just repeating the same gags.
I will say mediums. There was some bits in it, and we'll get to the talk, but there was some bits in it was like, okay, but I need some action. Like I know, and I listen. I'm watching like series 3 right now as well, because I'm doing like a watch where I'm watching like Torchwood and Doctor Who, and like seeing that kind of era together and going one by one. And look, there are episodes where it's mostly just people talking in a room and the action is kind of minimal. Like I'm watching Utopia, and I remember that being a big action-y episode, but there really isn't. It's like there's action at the start, action at the end. The majority of it is just talking. And I forget that. So when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh yeah, this is normal. But at the same time, I know my brain, based off the like hype that I've seen online, because this is like a highly reviewed, like all these places are like, it's overwhelmingly positive. A lot of other episodes of this era have some positive, and some people saying it's a bit muddled. This has just been like, I've been seeing nothing but 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. This is the episode, and it's been so immensely of a hype that I can't help but feel that hype. And it's also hard in the fact, and I'll just say this before we get into the reviews, like, for me, I like this new era. I do like this new era. And I know a lot of fans do like this new era, but I think a lot of fans don't love this new era. So I was, Louis. Yeah. So I was waiting, and me included. Yeah. I was thinking, oh, this is the episode that is going to be why we now love this new era. And it didn't really be that. It was just a really good episode. But so I'm also going to try to, in this review, separate my hype. Like separate how much I was hyped for this episode and just judge it on its merits. But
well, unfortunately for this episode, it kind of just felt like older eras.
Sure.
Which is like good. Well, I was like, okay, then I kind of like, oh, this feels like Doctor Who. And this feels weird because when the episode was starting, I was like, oh, this feels like classic Doctor Who. But because I have a lot of issues with this, the way this new era is being produced, and I'm not sure if I should get to that in like negatives because it kind of applies to this episode, or should I just get into now? Like get that out of the way so we can focus more on the story and the negatives and positives.
I don't know. You can mention the negatives. I don't
know. I just think that the way that this new era kind of produces itself and puts itself out there is like, it's like the big, like we're getting all this cool stuff, and it's like we're in a new era, new exciting era, and it kind of feels like we're kind of just getting the same stuff, but it looks slightly nicer. And like we're doing stuff that we couldn't be able to do before, but because Doctor Who kind of follows a formula, that it's not really mind-blowing to me. Because I know that like, oh, really cool animation, but we're kind of be stuck to this one location, It's like,
and I think that's also, building upon that, I think that's also something that like I feel the similar way where like, oh, but I think on the same time I need to put myself in check as well, me personally, where I'm like, look, because I know there's a thing where we always want to go, oh, I want it to feel like Doctor Who again. Yeah. But I feel like that's such a hard thing to attain because it's not going to be nostalgic. It's not going to be like it was before. It's going to be its own new thing. Yeah. And I know what you're saying, that this kind of feels like some of the old stuff. But, there's stuff in this era I'm like, this doesn't feel like how it should feel. But then I'm kind of come to the terms of like, that's okay. That's kind of the point. It's not going to feel like how it feels. Even though I feel like this series feels like it's a weird in-between bit where it's trying to be new, but also trying not to be new. So I get that. It's
I think
a hard
Boom
thing.
Is really the episode that kind of captured that, like, oh, this feels like old classic Who.
Oh, you mean like
episode.
New Who, though?
Yeah, no, New Who, not classic Who.
When Louis says classic Who,
I mean
he
like
means
2005.
Yeah. But look, I think
Let's
Unless
just
you
get
want to
into
say
it.
one more thing,
No, let's get
we'll
into it.
get into it. So we'll do the positives to begin with. Because I want to say one thing with this. I feel mostly really positive with this episode. Like it's a good episode.
Yeah,
It's a good
yeah,
episode.
yeah.
So I might say more negatives, but that's not because I think I think a lot of the positives are just like, oh yeah, these are just positives. Like it's a good episode, but these negatives are just small parts that stop it from being a masterpiece.
perfect.
But like it overall, when I do get to negatives, it's
definitely
a good episode.
It's the quantity, not quality of negatives. It's like I may have a lot of negatives, but a lot of the negatives contribute to the there's not the quality of them. It's like
overall I think it's a great episode, and I think anyway, I'll get to do you want to begin or should I begin? I don't mind.
I'll start because I think the opening is so much fun. I think the cold open of this episode really hooked me into like, oh, this was a classic, 2006 Doctor Who, because I was like, oh, we get an opening and there's like a weird magical thing happens and everything kind of shifts and it's like, whoa, what is the Doctor going to do this time? And it's like, I kind of felt like this isn't a, episode that tries to have this, I don't know, beginning it just felt like I was sitting down, snuggling to watch Doctor Who. I don't know, it felt very nice. And also the story and the visuals and the animation was so cool and the singing was really cool. I don't know, just the very cold open was just a lot of fun for me.
No, I agree. I think it was great. I liked the showing there was the war video, and then it led to like a cartoon and things happening. At first, I was a bit like, oh, does it really reflect off a spoon? But I've really just like, I've got to accept this silliness.
Same.
I think I need to, because look, objectively, I think this season is. Oh, I'm jumping to a big thing now. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Sorry. But yeah, I think the opening. It was a strong opening. It was fun. It was. I liked. Them slowly realizing that,
like
Mr. Rinnington's talking to them, and then him leaping out of the screen and everyone's screaming.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. And the opening was strong. And to build off that with another positive of me, I think, I love Mr. Rinnington. I love a little campy cartoon character.
Little ghoul.
Alan Cumming. Sorry, no. Alan Cumming did a great job, and I think his presence is strong. Like he feels like a really cool character. He doesn't feel like a throwaway villain.
No,
he feels like distinctive. He looks distinctive, and he looks just like of the time. And I love his song. I think his song it's catchy. I've been humming it all day. Because I watched it today, and awesome. I've been humming it all day. And it was a catchy song, and like he felt like he could be menacing. I don't think he was as menacing as he could be in the episode. No. But I do think he kind of tried the tide of, is he this menacing being or is he just this cartoon character that's
It is really hard to tell what he is.
Yeah, because I couldn't even tell, what was he the god of? Was he the god of...
He was god of light.
Light. I was about to say, is he god of light? Okay.
But the thing is, I don't know if Mr. Ring-a-Ding is the god of light or the moonlight shone onto Mr. Ring-a-Ding, which created Ring-a-Ding as the avatar of the god of light.
I think maybe the god of light went into him. Yeah. And then made him that. Yeah. Which is fine, because that's like, I'm okay with that. I don't need him to already be the god of light. But I just thought he was a cool character. I like his animation style. I like the way he moves.
The actual composition of the 2D into the film is really good.
Yeah.
Because that, like Roger Rabbit type stuff, Yeah. So I think that was like really masterfully done.
When he was like moving
a while
about.
to do it. But the perspective and how the camera went around him, like it felt like he was like a 3D, 2D being, Yeah. It's like, so I think that was really
That's great. Yeah.
Really well
so like
done.
on that, I think the VFX were great in this episode.
Oh yeah, VFX are very stunning.
I mean, that's just connecting to that. I think obviously he worked really great as an effect. Even when he was like turning into like the 3D version of himself, and like that looked really cool.
It looked cool. It looked gross but cool.
Yeah, and I know. Yeah, and he looked, and I thought that just looked really epic. And even just the VFX of, the wife of the projectionist being all gray was kind of cool. And And we'll get more to the I think I'm sure we'll talk more about the segment, but yeah, just that also Doctor and Belinda turning animated, I really liked. I saw some people kind of go like, oh, that the animation style, it was a lower frame rate. It kind of looked a bit weird to the, but I don't really care about that. Maybe you like that, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel like because like the whole point of it was meant to be
they were getting low,
they were low,
and then they get bigger
more.
and then bigger. Yeah.
And
so,
and also like why would they commit so much time to a small gag? Like because they don't. There's no complex animation needed to be done in that scene because they're in one spot. So why would they make the animators animate all that when they've already got this animated girl to deal with?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a workload
just the VFX in general was just really fun and really cool. And even just the VFX when the Doctor was having his regeneration energy sucked out of him, that looked really cool. The goldness going into it looked like the VFX were well done. And shout out to the VFX. I mean, then I like the VFX in
all VFX
this
in this new era has been like solid.
But yeah, it looked really colorful this time around. It looked very purposeful this time around, obviously because that's kind of the theme of the episode. So overall, VFX really strong.
Kind of going into that because we started off talking about the guy. I think I was talking about the other media and animation and all the film stuff that this actually focuses on is like really fun and creative and imaginative. And I think the mystery of him, like the ring-a-ding, he was like, I don't know, it just felt such classic. I know I keep saying that, but it feels such like New Who classic, what I've seen of just classic monster who's just trying to tease the Doctor. Like someone's smarter. They're going like, "Don't make me laugh," and then telling him a riddle. It's like, that's not an answer. That's a riddle. And he's like, that felt like
backstory for a two-dimensional character.
Like all that stuff felt like the Doctor was really on the back foot for this episode. And I feel like that created a good tension because sometimes the Doctor can feel like he's too powerful. And when the Doctor doesn't know something, it's really interesting to see how he reacts. Because like David Tennant, when he doesn't know something, he's very erratic. And this one, he's like erratic, but he kind of loves how he doesn't know. And I don't know. I think Ncuti does a really good job in that aspect and the dynamic between. Obviously, as an actor, it's really hard to talk to nothing.
Yeah.
But I really think that he made a good premise and he really did a good job in making Mr. Ring-a-Ding an actual villain because he was really goofy and stuff, but his taunts to them was really fun, and the chemistry and how they bounced off each other really cool. It was very limited. There wasn't much of it because obviously it's expensive to have this animated little goof, but I think how they talked to each other and how they reacted to each other was really, really interesting. And I don't know, it just felt very classic Who when he was like, you have to answer me, those are the rules. He's like, okay, I'll give you a riddle. And like, don't make me laugh. Why can't we make you laugh? What's the one thing I can't do? And I was in my head, I was like, oh, what can't he do? And now in my brain, I'm like, ooh, and I'm thinking of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt very much I was involved in the mystery.
It was a cool dynamic that, like, for me, it was a bit different in the fact that it was more of a fun dynamic. Like, it was a bit, like, you could say it's like, oh, it's similar dynamic to like the Master and the Doctor and stuff like that. But I kind of liked how it felt like, Mr. Ring-a-Ding was a threat, but like not really. Like it felt like a threat, but he was kind of just like a funny, bumbling thing that will happen to kill you.
Yeah,
like it didn't feel like he's
just
trying to kill you right away.
Yeah, because that's what the Doctor says. It's a game to them. So
I liked that, and then I liked the dynamic, and on that I think Ncuti was great in this episode, and I think so was Belinda. I think the duo are really strong. I feel like.
Can I go? That's my next positive.
Yeah, that's the positive. I was going to move to
the chemistry of the leads just got better and better and better. You really feel her feelings wanting to go home, but he's the Doctor. He needs to investigate.
Yeah,
so Belinda is just so like funny and emotional in this episode, and that really hits home. And I think I like her better than Rose, like already. Not Rose,
Ruby.
Ruby, Jesus. I like her more than Ruby because I feel like the Doctor and her don't always click. Like they kind of like a bit antagonistic against each other. But I think this episode, she got to like meld with him a bit more. And their dynamic is a bit more like sharp and witty. While kind of Ruby kind of felt a bit more like they already meshed.
Yeah.
And there was much more development.
Ruby.
No, I like Ruby too.
And I'm excited to see her in the season. I'm
only comparing the two because they're in the same.
But I agree with you. I'm just, I think the duo was strong. I kind of liked... Because I was wondering how they were gonna like convince Belinda to stay on the planet, and I think the way they were able to convince it was like a consensual thing. It wasn't like, oh, I'm forcing you to stay here. she was like, oh, okay, yeah. Fine, let's do this.
Because she was excited to go to the 50s.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, we're in the 50s because we need to triangulate this Doctor Who.
Yeah, and I was still happy that she still kind of stood her ground to go like, oh, I want to leave.
Yeah.
But then there was able to be some convincing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the pair. They feel really strong. Them getting to know each other was good. I think she's very dimensional, and I think she's not kind of just like a basic companion. She has motivations and stuff, and I think they're both strong together, and I think they complement each other well in this season. But they were really good in this episode, and they were like, it was good to they were good. So moving on to another positive. I guess about them, it's important to talk about, although I don't know fully how to think of this, because, I love to think of what other people's perspectives on, but I think them, touching upon the racism stuff.
Why? You're just hitting all of my positives,
well,
man.
Yeah, look, I gotta go into my positive. I think it was good. I mean,
I think they handled it.
I think they did it in
well.
Because
like this episode isn't about race.
It isn't about that.
Like,
although, like, I would totally understand if there's some, people of color, like viewers who kind of maybe wish there was a bit more, or kind of wish that was explored more. I think they were able to make it work because obviously it was set at nighttime and there wasn't many people around, so there wasn't that constant, it
wasn't a bustling city.
It wasn't a bustling city where there would be constant, racism. So they were able to make it work. They were able to toe the line of, look, we're going to acknowledge this is the setting. We're going to acknowledge.
Like, unfortunately, we can't have episodes where they go back in time and they have to constantly explain, like have to deal with that. Because it's like, when episodes they do tackle it, we can really critique how they tackle it. Yeah, because like the Dot and Bubble episode, even if we think like, even if like we still enjoy it, we still have to acknowledge that episode is about racism. And like about cliques and stuff. But in this episode, when it's acknowledged and like, okay, we're in the 50s, and we want this character to be in the 50s vibe, and we want this rubber hose stuff. But because, things were segregated and these were the laws, we have to acknowledge it, or people will be like, hey, why are they, like, people who would be like, that's not historically accurate. And
it wasn't like a one mention thing with this. It was great that it came out multiple times in the episode, which was good. And because I was like, also, last night I was watching the Shakespeare Code. Yeah. And they kind of handle racism a little bit differently in that one. And I think it's renowned by a lot of Doctor Who fans to be like, not the best representation of racism, or not racism, but just of like it's a situation where like Martha, it's gone to the Elizabethan times,
1600s.
Yeah, 1600s or the end of it, and there's a lot of like the Doctor not caring, a lot of the Doctor
just like look confident.
A lot of times where white characters are like, with Shakespeare's like calling Martha not. I guess they're slurs. I guess they're kind of like
saying not nice things.
I don't know. They're just like words for black people. It's kind of just thrown out there, and it's not really like cared about like how Martha feels about that. Yeah. Like it's kind of like maybe that's not completely true. Like Martha does mention, hey, it's probably not great for me to be here, but I don't know. This was just handled more respectfully, and of course, it's going to be handled more respectfully because it's such a new dynamic of two people of color being the TARDIS team, like having the Doctor and the companion both be people of color. It's such a cool and refreshing thing, and I think that's what's really great about this episode. Is it does make this season feel fresh, and the fact that now we're tackling that, and it's not in a way that's kind of like whatever, like kind of the way that Dot and Bubble did it. Like Dot and Bubble, like I there was a lot of good that came from that episode and a lot of bad that came from that episode, but it was just really, they handled it very well, and I just think it was but look, obviously I would love to hear what other people think. I mean, we're probably not the best people to talk about this issue as two white guys,
exactly, but I can acknowledge that it wasn't going for a disrespectful angle, and it wasn't swiping it aside. Like the Doctor's response to Belinda, I keep wanting to say Melinda, I don't know why. Doctor's response to Belinda, I think is like, it's indicative of how the Doctor kind of treats a lot of things, and how like the Doctor is, because the Doctor is not just one thing, they're everything. So, and like Melinda actively being like, hey, no, because like the Doctor's a human and not a Time Lord, so she kind of, just like, hey, this is like my whole life, or the Doctor, this is new to the Doctor, but still not new, but you know what I mean. Like with that's just not feasible, because that means every episode when they go back any decade in time. Like Shooty can't go in any decade.
Oh, in the future. It seems.
Or even in the future, exactly, without that being a topic that has to be discussed because the world sucks and the world just is really like backwards. For what we got in this episode that acknowledges that this is true, but because we also got other stories to tell, I think it handles that aspect well, but doesn't ignore it when other situations would have come up. Like when Melinda was like, don't point a gun at us. Why are you pointing a gun at us? And like this.
Yeah.
Like, acknowledge that like that would happen, you know? So also I'm not trying to disregard anyone else's feelings.
No,
toward
yeah,
it.
of course.
I'm just saying it would be hard to have Shooty Gatwa go to every decade and have the whole episode be based around the Doctor being a person of color and every character he meets is instantly against him, because that would be hard episodes of TV to watch because it would just be very depressing.
Yeah, no, but I think there was a good balance here.
Yeah.
The point is great balance
Great
here
balance.
where they mention it, they comment on it, but also they
No.
it's not the focus of the entire story.
And it shouldn't be the focus of us because we're two white guys and we don't know
Yeah.
the intricacies.
What's racism?
What is it?
No, but yeah, moving on to that, I think a big critique I saw online was that some of the characters, they were saying, oh, it's a good episode, but characters are two-dimensional as usual, like some of like side characters, and I gotta disagree in this one.
What
Like
do they expect?
I don't know. A lot of people go like, oh, the characters, like, it's kind of typical where some of the characters aren't written the best besides the main ones. I'm like, I disagree. And I think, I was about to say, I actually like a lot of the characters. I think they have a lot of depth.
Yeah.
I think the projectionist had depth.
Yeah.
The mother who lost his, the mother who lost her son had decent amount of depth.
Yeah.
And I mean, even the bartender dude in the
Yeah,
cafe,
he was a fun
he seemed
character.
cool.
I think people
Like-
mistake character depth with character backstory sometimes. It's like a character, if they have a personality and they stick to that personality, that's
I think
depth.
I think a lot of what they mean, and I understand this, is like, for example, like in the last episode, there was one guy, his one character trait was I hate Belinda.
Yeah.
Like
I hated
that's a character with no, like, there's
Yeah.
nothing else. And I think they were saying, oh, it's just like that again. But I'm gonna disagree. This
No,
round
it's
we
not.
didn't have characters like that.
Yeah.
We even the characters who have everybody go
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just a racist, you get out of here.
Yeah.
They weren't. They seemed like real people who like understood the race
Because
laws.
people at the
but
time weren't
yeah.
always, because the reason, they weren't.
So
all of them
I
were
got to
like
disagree with that
Yeah.
critique and go, actually, I liked how, there was, well, this is great because this should be the way it is. But there was like, there was characters who were living under like,
This
a
law.
white America.
Yeah,
Segregation,
segregation.
who just knew that the segregated stuff existed, but they didn't want to be all racist.
Because like
so.
we can go like, okay, well, the mother took a risk to be talking to the Doctor and Melinda, so like that's technically a risk and that's technically depth because it shows that she's she has
She
this
just needs to talk
foresight and
about
bravery
her
to talk
son,
about her son.
So I just think,
And like there's miles of difference between that guy from episode 1 to these characters, because the guy from the shop, what depth is he gonna have? Is he gonna show up at the end of the third act and go like, my mum died and this leads to this? Like, what do you want? This is a 45 episode, and like really the only characters that kind of speak are Melinda and the Doctor. They have the most amount of screen time. Belinda. Why do I keep saying
you say
Melinda?
Melinda a lot, but I haven't mentioned it. But it is.
Why do I keep saying Melinda? I don't know why. I think
Because Belinda's such an interesting name.
I think
is that
Melinda was what I thought her name was when she first said
right.
it. But I think that's just okay. Because also I know someone named Belinda, and I just like keep thinking of that's Belinda. This is Melinda.
Sure.
Anyway, what the hell do you expect? Do we go back to every episode of? Because also this kind of goes into another thing. I'm not going to harp on this. There weren't a lot of extras, but that it implied into the story because they went missing and they. Whereas at nighttime, so it would make sense why there weren't a lot of people, but I still kind of feel like this episode was kind of empty, but whatever, I'll get to that later. The characters that were important to this episode were as much developed as most of any Doctor Who. Because what else is going to happen? What do we expect another, the beetle lady from Utopia to just be like, we're going to have this breakthrough with her speech pattern in this episode where they're fighting a light god. Like, hey, I know we're fighting this light god, but how was your childhood, projectionist, Mr. Pye? How was your childhood? Well, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
So I think people are kind of, they're mixing development and stuff from backstory. I don't know. It's kind of hard to understand what they kind of want.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, but do you have any other positives? I have one more positive. But
I'm all, my general, I didn't write too many of this.
I like the spooky vibes. I like the vibes at the start where it felt
haunted,
spooky, haunted, like a mystery.
Yeah.
Mystery, and it was like shot in a way like that. Yeah. So I liked it. I like that part.
Yeah.
Overall, just, like the episode. Okay. Do you want to begin with the negative and then move on?
Sure. Episode feels small in comparison and grandness when episodes from recent season felt much more bigger with less budget. This kind of goes into, this is a god of light, it's like a new god from the pantheon. It's like, whoa, big, but it kind of, again, we're kind of just in one room, in one projectionist, one street alley, which is fine because you can tell a lot of the budget kind of went into, like, this is a big episode technically, like with animation and VFX and stuff.
Yeah. There's
a lot of that. But again, this production just kind of feels kind of bland to me still, and kind of small and not, I don't know. I think it's limiting itself when it has this massive, like, great looking camera, great looking sets and all this stuff. It kind of loses that grandness when this episode is meant to be so grand and it's like we're facing a god and this animation is spectacular, but it kind of just does feel kind of small in comparison. Like I referenced this after, like, Blink. I remember this in this episode. Like Blink has such a small concept.
Can I just say, I literally paused. I will say, can I just say this really quickly? I paused I paused the episode towards the end and I was like, there's not a lot that went on. And then I started going, but look, like in Blink, and I started listening to everything that happened in Blink. And then I was like, that had shit going. So like probably doing it literally
so
what
like,
you did.
Yeah. So like with small episodes that have small concepts, like Blink with the angels, like, oh, you touch and they go back in time. Mm-hmm. Like this, I think that's it. The concepts of these episodes are great. It's just the execution on how Russell T Davies presents them is the issue. Like with Angels, simple premise. They touch you, go back in time. How that episode chose to present the plot. Like this plot, there's not much plot here. You know what I mean? There's a story, but there's not really much plot going on.
Yeah, I agree with
so I feel like this new era, there's missing some plot. And there's missing like a driving force or like a viewpoint. Because it kind of all feels this like empty, like, oh, there's a bad guy and we kind of just have to do these little things. And then, because this episode kind of went the same way as the Maestro episode, kind of, but obviously different premise and different all that stuff. But again, like, at the end, he gets wrapped up and gets tied up and like, oh no. Yeah. But again, it was Ruby that time. And
I
there's a big plot issue.
I feel like there's not much
going on.
Yeah, I wanted more action, and I get it. Like,
it's hard.
There's not every Doctor Who episode has a lot of action.
Yeah,
but it was just kind of a thing where like the actual thrills of what this concept could be. Like it's an animated villain come to life. He didn't do much villain shit.
Yeah,
he kind of just like he went under a door and hey. Yeah. Like other than the opening, he didn't do much, and it's just kind of like all the Doctor and Belinda does in the episode is like run around the theater, get stuck in a photo frame, and then eventually after a few fake teasers, they get out of the photo frame, and then the ending happens where they get strapped up. Yeah. Like I was expecting, like once again, this was part of my overhype.
Yeah.
Is I was expecting, some animated sequences. I was expecting that maybe the Doctor and Belinda to run around an animated world or something like that.
Or like some Hanna-Barbera, this guy, animation. So this guy could have done anything, and the only thing they did that was really animated goofiness was he turned 2D and went under a door.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like there wasn't. He didn't go have like a hammer for a hand.
Exactly.
He didn't do something big that was animated. He didn't. He was just kind of there, and he sang, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like I was expecting, because we only got like one frame.
Yeah.
Like the Doctor and Belinda got stuck in one frame, and I get it.
Yeah.
That was the point. But it was like we got more of them being stuck in the real world other than the animated world, which kind of just took out the point. Like, what was the point of them being stuck in a frame? And it just kind of felt like, I don't know. I just, because like animation.
You can do anything.
Like they did, animation back in the day, but they didn't do it for millions of dollars. They just did animation.
You can do it
like
really
you can
cheap.
have the background be basic
yeah.
nothing, but they're moving around and the camera's shifting. Like do something because it's such a good concept, and I'm so disappointed that I go, it's a great concept that they couldn't do anything with.
I wouldn't mind
And
if
it
they
was just
stuck
like-
with that not many frame rate like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
When they stuck with that, and they kind of just like clumped around. Like I don't know. I would have gone like it's a TV show. They don't have the biggest budget in the world.
Meta with that.
Yeah.
Like have
Community did a whole episode when it was stop motion.
I'll see a cartoon TARDIS or something. I don't know. Like they can be outside on the same street, but trying to get to the cartoon TARDIS and realize, oh no, this is.
And it can just be one massive painting, and they just go in that same thing.
And I get it. Like that's maybe a
hard.
lot for us to ask. You should do
I
all
know.
that, but it's just kind of like. There wasn't anything really interesting when it comes to action in this episode. The concepts are cool, as you were saying. And
this guy didn't need to be a cartoon character.
Yeah, I guess.
You know what I mean?
He
could have just been a guy from the movie that came out of the movie and then is the god of light. And then, I guess because he's the god of light, it could be like, you could say he's the god of light because light captured that picture on a film. Like that's how film works, is light. So Alan Cumming could have just came out of the screen and gone like, I'm Alan Cumming. And everyone's like, oh, and then the whole episode would have just stayed the same.
He could be a silent movie character.
Yeah,
He could
and
be
then
in
the
black
Doctor
and white.
would have just been stuck in like movies.
Yeah,
this whole episode,
it could have been the same thing. So when you had a cartoon, I wanted to see some cool cartoon shit, but I barely think we got we got like maybe 20% of the film or 30% of the film.
Yeah,
the film episode being cartoon. The rest of like the Doctor and Belinda being in trouble was they're just stuck in a white background photo frame, or we'll get to the Doctor Who meta.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel it didn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel distinctive to what this character would do, but I guess the character
and they had this thing where it's
and-
like, oh, he got small, so he has trouble going upstairs.
yeah.
Guy, you can turn to 2D and go under a thing. What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you can't walk upstairs? It was a funny gag, and like it's technically funny, but it just kind of takes away all the stakes when he's tired, goes upstairs.
Yeah,
Like
I guess.
why couldn't he just get all the film frames to drag him up, or you know?
I don't know. Yeah, I just wanted more action in this, and I wanted more
Creativity.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just to do more with the animation concept. That's essentially it. More animation, more action.
Yeah, and I think we kind of nailed the thing with. There's really not much plot going on. It's just kind of the Doctor going out of scrapes.
There's a couple of shenanigans where they're like, oh, we're stuck in the photo frame. Let's just move like this. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of that, in this new era where the Doctor and Sim and Maestro, I'm just going to do this little battle in this one room.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like a really good battle. Or like in the Giggle when they're just throwing a ball around. I'm like, cool, but that's not really anything cool. You're just throwing a ball. And I don't know. I just felt like there's a lot of stuff. Yeah. In this, it was just kind of like there's not.
And because
there's nothing. I don't know.
Because they're stuck with this massive production also means heavier cameras. You can move the camera less because of the setup is different. Because you have so much VFX in these episodes with massive worlds, you can't move the camera as much because it's hard for the VFX team to animate. With classic New Who, it's like they didn't have any of that stuff, so they did what they could. And that means they filmed in a basement, but they filmed in a very long basement with like handheld cameras and dollies and these like stuffy little cameras that didn't were fine for the time. But they did all they could with that thing. Here they feel like they're being complicit in these we have these massive cameras, so it doesn't matter if we're stuck in the same room because it looks so good.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of my problems with this new era comes from. Is like, great guys, it looks great. Not much really going on, because I don't really feel that much tension with the Harbingers, because I'm like, oh yeah, the Harbingers is a thing.
Yeah,
cool, great. Like, what is he harbinging?
Yeah, I know.
Wait, so he's the harbinger
because he never felt really scary to me.
Yeah,
like he kind of he did at the start, but I don't know. Like as a harbinger god, I was more scared of Maestro, funny enough.
Yeah.
I was more scared of, the toy. Oh, I love the toy maker. Yeah, I wasn't scared of him. But, I don't know. He didn't. I wanted him to be more menacing and more. And they could have done more with some animated bits. Yeah. But, look, yeah. But also, just a big negative for me was, just I'm a victim of overhype. And there was some moments there was one thing that was kind of funny. This may have led to me being overhyped, is that one of the reviews said there's an 11th Doctor musical piece that pops up in the episode. What? Yeah, so there's an 11th Doctor musical piece that pops up in the episode. I was like, what does that mean? Is it going to be I Am the Doctor? And basically what the 11th Doctor musical piece was, it was that like when Belinda and the Doctor, they like hug each other or something, and they're like crying or whatever. There's like an Amy piece, like a piece that was from that like early Moffat era, but it wasn't very clear to me. Okay. And it didn't even seem like that was a big thing that was meant to be like, look, it's a reference. It just kind of felt like, we're just reusing music. So I don't know. This is overhype. I'm gonna not say that's a negative, but going into let's talk about it. Yeah. Before we continue to more negatives, how do we feel about the Doctor Who meta bit?
I think they could have done like a lot of things. They could have done a lot more, and they could have called more people out, but they didn't. They were very like safe with it. It was very safe and kind of like self-affirming.
I feel good and bad about that. Yeah. So so it felt weird. It felt really weird. Yeah. Which look, it's 62 years of the show. I'm not blaming them to do something like this.
Yeah.
I'm not against it.
Yeah.
And I like that they didn't do too much of it. Like what I mean is like I like the joke about like everyone's favorite episode being Blink. Yeah. Like that was funny. Yeah. And I like that they didn't have to like, the Doctor wasn't too existential about like, oh my God, I'm stuck in a show. Yeah. Like Doctor Who's a show. But that being said though, actually maybe I would have wanted more. Because there was like a thing where like the Doctor didn't seem too fazed by it.
I think he kind of was just maybe in the back of the head he knew that this wasn't real.
I knew it wasn't real, but like it'd be cool if he went like, wait, I'm on all these DVDs, or like something that's like like more like this is a meta, like this is the craziest thing. Arguably, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened in the show. Is that now it's officially meta. There's an official meta thing. This is your one chance to do like some crazy shit. And I'm not saying do something crazy stuff, but like you don't have to do something amazing. But like I want the Doctor to do more and go. Yeah. Oh, wait. I like the line about like what episode did you like the most, or like not episode, but like what about that adventure with this? But like I was like, which version of me was the best, or like something that's like I don't know, do more. I wanted to be more shocked about what's Doctor Who. Oh, I like Doctor. Like I don't know. It just felt like they kind of just sat down with Doctor Who fans and talked, but it didn't feel like a scene that either contributed to anything or anything.
And it didn't even feel like a love letter to the fans. It kind of just felt like, here, fan, isn't this funny?
And to be fair, like. I want to watch it again because I feel like I'll like it on the second time watching. Yeah. And I'm sure some fans were like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. But I don't know. I just would have liked more from it. And also, I don't want to always say this every episode. I'm sick of saying this every episode. Is I don't know why the Doctor and Belinda were crying. Freaking.
Oh like, my God. I do agree that this felt very much like, why are we harping on this so much?
And I will say, like, I'm so happy that the Doctor is open about his emotions. I'm not trying to be one of those like fans or whatever who goes like, oh, the Doctor crying all the time, that sucks. Like, I get it, he's more open with his emotions. Yeah. But they literally met them for 10 minutes. Yeah. They don't need to cry, and they're not seeing them be killed. Yeah. They aren't friends. They just went, oh, this is a funny situation. And yes, it's a sad thing to think about, like, oh, we're gonna go away. Yeah. But it was treated like it was the end of the world. You didn't earn that emotional Doctor and Belinda crying because they just met. Yeah. And the dialogue, they literally just talked about Blink and that was it. Yeah. You just met. You haven't earned this big, them hugging and crying and going, oh my God, I can't believe it. We got to get out of here. Like, no, you didn't earn it. Like, it wasn't earned. Yeah. And I'm kind of sick of always saying this in most of these reviews or like episodes that Shooty didn't, like, I'm sure Shooty earned crying in the last episode. That's fine. But it's just kind of a thing where like that, I feel there's a lot of moments where Russell T Davies or whoever's writing thinks this is a really emotional moment. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to like physically putting it on the screen, it doesn't come off that way at all for the audience. Yeah. So when the characters start crying about it, it doesn't work. And I'm just like, it didn't work.
He's crying over, like he knows that they're fake. And I know the Doctor has like, he saves everyone, doesn't matter if they're fake. But come on, man. Like, and Belinda going like, no, but you're real. Look, I can see this. I'm like, you've never played VR? I don't know. Like, you're in a God's film thing. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd feel like kind of sad because I thought they were real, but they're presenting as real, but you know that they're just created by the god, so they don't really have a conscious. Like they're not. He didn't give birth to them. Like what means conscious, and that has a whole different thing. But it didn't really. This episode wasn't about the fricked up nature of VR and like these people have consciousness and they have feelings and emotions and like them dying is really sad. It's an episode about a rubber hose guy. Like this takes up time that wasn't necessary.
I wanted
like
some more.
It took up more Doctor Who references. It took up so much time with other stuff that it was just like, oh yeah, we're talking about the Doctor Who stuff, but now we're sad. We're leaving. Yeah, we're going. And I know it's sad.
This entire but this middle part where they're all in like the projector just felt really slow and kind of derailed the episode.
Yeah.
Like it didn't, when they're just like, oh, we're going to move the frame. I'm like, this isn't fun to watch. Like this, I get it. You're going to move the frame. That's a cool concept, but you're not doing it maybe you could film it differently or do something to make it exciting.
Yeah.
But this isn't interesting to watch. And I get it. Like them moving the frame to get out of there, but it's like, gosh, like this isn't entertaining. This is if this is the pinnacle part of the episode, it's not doing anything for me. And it's like, I don't know. The Doctor Who thing was cool, but it didn't feel exciting. It wasn't bland. Like, it didn't feel like all this action was going to the peak of this. Yeah. Like all of this, they were running
to a convention.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was something like the Doctor was running away in an anime, there's all this action, and then bam, they land into the Doctor Who fans like living room. That would have been that would have had more of a punch because oh, I'm here. Like all this meta-ness is leading to the most meta thing ever. Yeah. But instead, all it was that, okay, we're moving the frame. We're like,
but
oh, why are
Melinda,
we here?
We need to go forward. And
they go, oh, and we're now with the Doctor Who fans. Like it just didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't feel like exciting or cool. It was just like, oh, we're doing meta. And I was like, and the meta part was okay. But
was this filmed during COVID? 2022?
It's after COVID. It had to be after COVID.
Well, it's still during COVID, but like the bad restrictions.
I think it was 2023. They were filming the first episode when the last 60th was being shown. 60th special was being shown. So it was like...
So they shot season 2 during the 60th
2023.
Then yeah. So like that's not an excuse then. Like I thought it was like, oh, maybe they couldn't get all these people, because that's a lot of my reasons, like, oh, they couldn't get the extras because of COVID. Like Supernatural, that was an actual problem. They couldn't get the people because of COVID. So I give that show an excuse, but also another thing I bring. This show, just that living room was the blandest set I've ever seen.
Oh, I disagree because I like all the DVDs.
No, the DVDs are great, but it was lit, like just damn lit, and like the couch, it was very like thrown together.
I think it's a lot of the color
I didn't even
filter.
notice the DVDs.
I'm not a big fan of the color filter, I think.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing for the whole season. But that's not Anyway, I'm happy to move on from this bit, but I was just like, I like it, but I also don't like it. It's a mix. It's a mix. I don't want to full on say it's the worst thing. It's just, I don't know. It could have been, if there was more action going on to earn that big that would have been great, but there wasn't. It was like whatever, and then there was that. Can I move on to one? Do you want to continue?
I started the negatives.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna go to Mrs. Flood now.
Okay.
I liked how she was included. I was hoping she would be included in this episode. But like it's not really a fault of this episode. I'm just not into the Mrs. Flood at all. Like I'm not. And she popped up at the end and it was cool. It also felt very weird. I needed when her final line was like, "Oh, it's a light trick," which is funny. And then but the moment she like finished the sentence, a millisecond after, it just cut to the credits. Yeah, I feel like just have a bit of a pause there, and then cut to the credits because it just felt like it was like a random take.
Maybe like a frame over. She like did a massive fart.
But I don't know. I get it. We don't know who she is. But at the point now, I don't care anymore.
Because you remember when Missy was being introduced?
Yeah,
and that was like
she was an interesting character to begin with. Yeah, Missy was like, oh, she's interesting. She's saying stuff. Mrs. Flood is
we've not really interacted with Mrs. Flood really at all, except for like the first episode of season 1.
Oh no, she's in it quite a bit.
No, I mean like the Doctor, like we interact with. She's kind of mainly like, oh, bibbly bobbly. That was weird.
Like she,
and I'm like,
what?
Know.
There's nothing about her that seems interesting. And I don't know. She's just been.
And then she flies off.
She's evil. She's meant to be the
Is she evil?
she's meant to be. Like, that's
Who said that?
Russell T Davis, like, being interviewed. He was like being interviewed like a premiere or whatever.
Yeah.
And then asked him, like, what do you think about the Mrs. Flood thing? And he was going like, oh yes, oh well, she's a nemesis. She's a this. Like, he does mention it.
Okay.
Like, 100%.
As
he
someone
does
who's
mention it.
never watched that, I don't get any nemesis vibe.
I
at
know.
all.
I'm saying there's nothing
If they're
about her that
building
is
this
menacing.
up, if they're building her up,
Yeah. Other than like when she's like
What?
talking to the audience, going
Yeah.
going like, oh, the
Yeah.
doctor's in trouble, folks. Oh,
Yeah.
he's gonna die. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. But there's nothing
But if it
that's
was
making me
more-
interested to learn
Yeah.
about what she
Yeah.
is. She just pops up, and
Yeah.
that's it.
if it was more like season 1 had the lady that showed up everywhere.
Yeah.
If it was more like that where the doctor noticed her or like there was something, then I would be like, oh, okay, I'm more interested because the doctor knows. But when this is going to be introduced, the doctor's going to be like, oh, Mrs. Flood.
Yeah. But she's like, but the thing is, like, she's here for the fans. Like, she's the thing for the fans to notice. Like, she's a character that only really talks to the fans, or when the Doctor and Belinda aren't there.
I don't care
But there's
about
nothing
you.
she's doing that makes her like an interesting
Yeah.
character. There's
I don't
nothing
look
about
forward
her.
to her showing up.
There's nothing about her where she go, ooh, what is she?
She's not
Other
like-
than she just talks
Yeah.
to the audience.
She's not like ravaging through the remains of the cinema and picking something out like, oh, this
Like,
will do.
I know this
And
is
it's
really
like,
mean.
ooh.
I know this is really mean, but if she just killed everyone at the end or something, like
Yeah.
she just
Did something.
said, okay, everyone, I did something to like do like great, but there's
Yeah.
nothing about her that's menacing. So right now she's just we don't know what the
Yeah.
heck she is, and she pops up, but I'm not excited for her
Yeah.
at all. And also with that, connecting to another
Yeah.
semi-negative I have, this is more of a nitpick and negative. So this isn't a massive negative. I'm okay with the 15 coming back at the end,
Yeah.
like the 50 missing people.
Oh, yeah.
So like, yeah, of course they can come back at the end. But I just need like a shot or something to show how they got back. Like, I get it. I understand that. And this happens a lot, I think, where if you just added like a few shots to things, I would love it. Like if one of the film reels were burning and a hand
Yeah.
was popping out, just like how Shooty and Belinda was coming
Yeah.
out. Amazing. But just give me like something to show that they're getting out other than they're here.
Yeah.
They're out, they're saved. Because of course they're going to be saved. We know that's going to happen. But give me something to like earn why they're being saved, other than they just pop out because it's the same thing with like Star Beast.
Yeah.
They reversed the ending where like, suddenly Donna flipped a switch and the Earth was back to normal again.
Yeah.
It's like that felt like, okay, of course that's going to happen, but can we get like a little explanation or
Yeah.
a little of how that's working?
It feels lazy.
Of how that happens, and I get it. They pop, and I feel like. So I'm
need
coughing
water?
a lot. I'm okay. I should be fine. If I cough again, I will get water. But I feel like it's a thing where, like, because Russell T Davis has written so many episodes, he's like, oh yeah, and this is how it ends. Like, this is how it's going to end because this is how it always ends.
Yeah.
Instead of having to put in the effort and earn it, which he may have done in his earlier episodes, he's just so used to it now that that's how it is that he probably hasn't felt that he needed to put in the effort. So it just feels like that to me. Anyway, I just it's a nitpick. That's a nitpick though, because it's not like a full negative.
I get you. It's because I kind of feel the same where they got out because the film burnt. So wouldn't that mean they died?
But it does.
Their
They don't really
souls
explain
died?
that. They don't really
Yeah,
explain
it's just
that.
like,
It's
oh,
just
what
kinda
happened? And like, because like the doctor didn't actively try to rescue them. They just got out by being adjacent to the doctor.
and this is, mind you, this isn't a bad, horrible thing that puts down the episode.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like I would have appreciated something to just show why they're getting out or how they got out. I'm not against it, but I just kind of was like, come on. Do you have any more negatives? Because that's mostly it for me.
This is more like, I guess, production stuff. I guess we talked about not much really happens in the episode. I don't know, it feels very limited and small, blah blah. Okay, I talked about how this episode. Yeah, I talked about that. Okay, I have 2 points that kind of feel like a larger thing where, with this production, we will never get an episode like A Good Man Goes to War.
Like a big battle? Or
Like, no, what I mean is like, with
like
how
big
this series is
spaceships?
going, there's not going to be enough new characters or new plot lines going on.
Right.
Like, that we're not going to get like a World's End or like season 4 or like a season 6. I'm not feeling that vibe from these episodes.
I guess. I mean, I think we got Ruby and
Because
Unit
when
and Rogue.
with the world exploding and like, oh, the world ended, I don't really miss anyone from this series.
Okay. Well, for me, I feel
because, like-
I miss. I would say not too many
Yeah.
for me. I think I would miss Ruby if Ruby died.
Yeah.
Because I do like Ruby enough. And, well, I guess I'm not going to miss Unit because they've died before.
No,
and
I
come
mean
back.
like new characters. Like when remember imagine season 1 of like season 4 of Doctor Who, we had all these like characters running around. I know this is only season 2, but I feel like the trajectory of this is leading me to the.
I think for me,
In like season 2 and stuff, there were all these characters that would be introduced and they'd live on Earth, like Mickey and the mum and the new characters of Unit that we get introduced to. I feel like there's not enough of those characters that I'm like, oh, they're gonna all come together, or there's gonna be like a big plot to bring them all together. With this episode of May 25th, I'm expecting them to solve it by not even going to Earth. The Doctor's gonna be like, oh, the threat's gonna come. The Doctor's gonna be like, you don't do that because it's wrong. And then Mrs. Flood or something's gonna be like, you know what? You're right. I am being wrong, and and then the Doctor's gonna flip a switch, and the world is gonna come back together, and we're actually gonna see the Earth. If I'm proven wrong, $1 million to Doctor Who for the next episode. Like, I don't know. It just feels like nothing's really going on. We're told about the world ending, but
I'm not a huge fan of this world ending
Well,
thing.
not
It kind of
really,
feels like
kind
it's
of.
just happening. But
Yeah.
I don't, because I don't like how there's two seasons
There's not
worth
much-
of world-ending catastrophes.
There's not much culmination going on. I'm like, oh, the gods. I can't even. You know what? I forgot the god thing was actually a thing.
The Harbinger thing.
Yeah, I remembered immediately when it happened. I was like, oh yes. What does that really mean again? Oh right, because they were unleashed because of the Doctor. Okay, what's their plan? Oh, their plan is to just be chaotic. Okay. Oh. Like, I don't really like, it's not like, oh my God, the Harbinger's going to come. So that means we're one step closer to this thing happening. It's kind of like, oh, the new Harbinger guy. Are all new villains just going to be new gods?
I don't know. I'm happy to just wait and see.
Yeah, I'm going to wait and see. If I'm proven wrong, $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million. But I have another one of,
Sure.
I don't think this episode of making and producing Doctor Who is good for Doctor Who. And I mean that in the sense of this way, how it's being produced. It's happening so far in the past that we're not really getting time to I don't know, rewrite or plan ahead because of things changing, or the everyone else doesn't really like this production, so it kind of feels like we can change or pivot or add new stuff because this didn't really go well. They're only seeing the reactions of these episodes now.
Yeah.
You know? And it's 2 years later or year and a half later. And I get it. I get it because that's the deal they were given. They couldn't do anything. But I wouldn't want this to continue.
Yeah, of course. And it won't continue because they've stopped. They can't make season 3 until...
Exactly.
And that's why I'm excited for season 3. You know, if it ever happens. I'm hoping it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
I get
but
that.
I think that's what's making me not love these episodes as much.
Yeah.
It feels like we're running on the fumes that everyone assumes that everyone loved season 1. And then Russell, I feel like Russell's really kind of rustling his own britches, going I'm such a good writer. I can write whatever. And then when people finally actually seeing his episodes, we're actually now, he's not surrounded by his own bubble. His bubble.
I guess
he's finally getting fans reacting to his episodes. And it's not his fault because that's the deal he was given. You know, he was given these, he shot these episodes. That's how it's done. I get it. But I do not want this to continue. I'm against this way of art, even art making. What art is, you get other perspectives. Every episode been written by Russell T Davies, basically. Does anyone else write episodes in this season?
Oh yeah, plenty of people.
Okay,
it's like he wrote the first 2 episodes and the last 2 episodes, and everyone else is.
Thank God.
I'm the next 4 episodes are written by other people.
I'm begging for other writers. I like Russell, but man, am I kind
It's an improvement over last season where it was just 2 other writers. Now it's 4 other writers.
Oh, thank God. I need something else, man. I'm kind of losing it. Russell.
He's co-wrote 1 other episode in the season.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for the next 4 episodes. I'm excited for the most because
I remember Older Who, and it was every episode was kind of written by someone else, and then the last one was written by, or there was kind of and there was more I feel like there wasn't a writer's room with this. It felt hey, here's your episode, go into a dark alley and write it and come back.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Because
and no.
that's more of a production with how writers are done now, how TV is made now. And also because that's bad. Writer unions and writer rooms are very important to a TV show, and that's the writer strike.
Yeah, if
and
I was a head writer, I would want there to be a
yeah,
writing group.
I want you want a writer's room, but that's
I
because
definitely
companies
want one,
didn't
yeah.
want that. Writer strike thing that already happened.
Yeah. Look,
So yeah, I'm
excited.
I'm excited for the season 2.
And also on that as well, like the big concern is, and I'm sure many people know this, is that like RTD has been clear that he doesn't want to be showrunning forever.
Yeah.
But they can't find their next showrunner unless they get another writer to give it a chance. Because right now there's no one else.
People wanted
The guy-
someone who was it was a girl, a showrunner. Crazy. I know Doctor Who going woke.
Yeah, but back in the before Russell, right?
I don't know.
Because remember there was some people talking about this one specific woman being
Yeah.
the one. But basically, there's no clear for me at least in this new era.
Maybe just get
there's
someone
no.
new.
I know
Just completely.
these
yeah.
are different thoughts. I think we can have a whole other video on this. We probably should stay back to the last.
Yeah.
So I'll stop talking about this. But I'm saying that it's very clear that they don't there's no Steve or Moffat right now.
Yeah.
There's no one writer that we go.
There's no even
that's
Chris,
that's the next
no.
person. Like Chris Chibnall, although we don't love Chris Chibnall.
Yeah, he had
a
his
writing
personality.
record. He had
Yeah.
a couple episodes of his name.
Yeah.
So it's a thing where it's like right now there's no Stephen Moffat.
No.
There is someone who is going to be writing the season who did write stuff in other eras.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they were the Chibnall eras, but that's okay.
That's
He
okay.
wrote Kablam, and
Oh, that's a fun episode.
that was an okay episode. I'm looking forward to see how.
Who
this
wrote the
goes.
frog one?
I don't know.
I want
That
the
was-
frog.
like the frog
I want the
one.
frog guy to come back.
But anyway, the point is, So
Yeah.
back to Lux.
Back to Lux.
Do you have anything else
no.
to say? Okay. Yeah, but look, that aside, there's a lot of things that could have been done, should have been done. But to just judge this episode by itself, I still think it's good.
No,
I still think it's great.
it's a totally great episode. Totally
It's a
great.
great episode.
Totally great. I mean, good episode.
If you haven't skipped this video already because you've been like, oh, these guys are too negative, we think it's great. We think it's a
great.
great episode. But yeah,
That's why we
could
lure
have
you
been
in
could
with
have
the
been
positives and stuff.
masterpiece. Anyway, didn't do a rating.
Yes.
So I was hoping this was an S. Everyone was saying it was going to be an S. I'll give it an A.
I'll give it an A
It's an A.
because it made me feel good again. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know.
was just a fun and like.
Yeah, as much I was very mixed on the last episode. Now this one I was like, oh, this is like feels
Yeah,
very
it's
nice.
just a good episode.
Could have done more, absolutely, but it was just a nice little episode.
And to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I actually wasn't excited for this episode the most in the season.
Yeah,
Like they were showing episodes like in the original trailer.
yeah,
There's like 3 other episodes I care about much more,
uh-huh.
and I only was excited for this episode because suddenly everyone was saying the reviews are good.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not mad that I wasn't going to give this an S tier. I don't think I was ever going to give this an S tier
No,
until I heard the reviews. But now I'm fine. I'm giving this an A tier. So I'm not like, oh, this season has lost my trust.
No.
I'm still cool with this season. I'm excited for the next one more than this one, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because apparently it might be a midnight sequel, but that's exciting. But at the same time, please don't do it.
Please don't do it.
Midnight. But I don't know. They're probably going to
set
do
on
it.
the same planet or something.
No, it's not. It's set on this desolate planet that there's no life. Oh, sorry, Louis.
Oh no, so wait.
Uh,
So it's a midnight sequel in like midnight.
People
like,
think it's going to be a midnight sequel.
oh,
So basically, we'll talk. Okay, so we're giving
Okay.
our ratings. That was
Yeah.
our ratings. Everyone A.
A.
For next episode. So next episode, it's The Well. The episode's
Okay.
called The Well or something like that. And it's about a desolate planet. And they've been very secretive in the trailers what the villain is. Like we
The poop
don't know who's in the well. We don't know what the
poop god.
villain is. Could be the poop god,
Could
the
be
poop
god,
harbinger.
The poop harbinger.
But like there was one line in the new trailer for
Uh-huh.
it where it's like I can't see it. Like it's coming from me. I can't see it though. And everyone's thinking because also there was a line that Shooty Gutwa said that
It's just like midnight.
no, but the Shooty Gutwa said something about like oh there's so many great villains that. In Doctor Who, you know, there's Sutek and the Midnight Entity, and the fact that he just
Yeah.
mentioned the Midnight,
Midnight
Entity,
Entity.
such a random thing, makes us think, oh, could that be in the new season?
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I don't know how to feel if it is the Midnight Entity. Like I like Midnight, but not because of the monster, just
Yeah.
because of how everyone reacts to the Midnight
monster, yeah.
Entity. So it's gonna be hard to put lightning in a bottle twice.
Did Russell write that episode?
He did write that episode.
Okay.
So it makes you think there's more of a chance now because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, if you guys like this one just as much as Blink, right? So let's do the Midnight Entity.
Yeah.
Other people thinking it could be the Vashnarada. Other people could think it could be. It's exciting. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a dark planet, so it'd be a perfect place for the Vashnarada to hide.
Yeah.
It's if you see the trailer, it's like a
Yeah, no,
it's
I've seen one
li-
image. I've seen
it's
one
a
image, yeah.
lifeless dark planet Sorry, Louis.
No, I saw an image. I know. That's okay.
Um,
I need to repeat: a lifeless dark planet.
Dark Planet, which might be the perfect place for the National Marauder to be.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, there's a feeling it's gonna be a returning villain.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
I feel I need another returning villain.
I need a returning villain.
I need a returning villain.
I need the Daleks or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want more Weeping Angels. I feel like the Weeping Angels are... Sorry, going off a bit of a tangent. I feel like the Weeping Angels are going to become the new Daleks of the modern era.
Yeah.
Because like they were like the one villain that like everyone like... Some people who don't even like Doctor Who went in to just watch Doctor Who because of the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
And it was like a thing like... Just like the Daleks where people watched Doctor Who back then in Classic Who because of the Daleks, not because of like the first episode. So I'm feeling like, oh, the Weeping Angels could have been that. But they're like hardly in the show. But at the same time, maybe it's good that they're hardly in the show. So I don't know.
Yeah. They mentioned Blink.
They mentioned Blink. They didn't mention why Blink was great. They just said, oh, it's the episode where you can't blink.
That was kind of fun.
It's very funny.
And doesn't she say, oh, that's kind of epic?
Yeah, she's like, wow, that's amazing. Something like that, which is funny.
Yeah.
But they don't mention the angels. Anyway, that's fine.
Anyway.
I'm excited for the new episode, and you'll be hearing a review from us.
What?
Yeah, well, I'm sorry,
I have
buddy.
to come back.
Yeah, we've got a podcast apparently.
Oh, no.
But this is exciting.
I'm so stinky.
Well, first one of the season, not written by RTD, so ooh.
Thank God.
And we don't hate RTD. I don't know how you feel, but I don't.
I'm just kind of.
We know he's great.
I'm all RT'd out.
Like yeah, like is R2D too much? And
Nice, high five.
Yeah, thank you. I tried that. I don't know if that fully worked.
No, that was great. That was great.
But I'm excited for these next because then we have a string of 4 episodes not written by RTD.
Oh.
So
That's like God kissing me on the lips. And I'm like, hey, don't do that.
because we don't
Kiss
hate
me on the
RTD.
cheek.
It's just I'm excited to see some new blood in the show.
Yeah.
Because
Like Dexter New Blood, but better.
Dexter Resurrection. We're talking about
New
that,
bunch
right?
of characters in that.
Is it, oh fuck.
You have to watch
I'm
all
trying
of
to watch
Dexter
all
now.
of Dexter. Anyway, thank you for listening in. This is an A-rated A
an A
on our tier
episode.
list. Last one was a B tier for me, and it was a C tier for you.
ABC.
A, B, C.
C.
These are like 1, 2, 3. Anyway, tell us what you thought about the episode.
Yeah.
Did you think it was overhyped? Did you love it more than us?
in this episode.
What?
Episode had to come. This episode had coming.
Alan Cumming.
If
Are
next
you,
episode,
are you disappointed you didn't see Alan come? You know, like you said, Alan Cumming is
Yeah,
coming?
is he gonna
Anyway,
come?
the point is, thank you so much, and thank you, Whovians. I hope you have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful week. I want to know all about what
if
you
you're
thought.
tired of hearing all the negativity about this new era of Doctor
Also,
Who,
if you also
come
have
here.
also if you have any notes on how we can improve this podcast,
Tell us new
let us
segments
know.
Or more
I'll-
topics you want us to talk about.
Yeah, do you want us to be faster the way we're talking? Do you want us to give us
do you
notes?
want us to talk slower?
Yeah.
Like,
Give us notes because
Yes,
we're
yeah.
starting this off and we want to know how
Yeah.
you prefer this show to go.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Whovians.
Thank
you. I'll see you all later. And
Bye-bye.
I hope you have a good time. And if you're
See you next
Australian, don't vote Liberal. Anyway, thank you so much. Sorry. I'm not trying to be
Political.
I'm not trying to be political.
What
but-
are you, Doctor Who?
But the elections are coming up, guys. So if you look at your
Don't
ballot
vote. No,
pa-
Leo, don't vote wrong.
Don't vote.
Vote correct.
Hey, look, if you want to vote Liberal, I don't know, what am I doing?
Don't.
I've tried this political.
No, we don't want him in here.
We don't want. Sorry.
We'll invite Peter Dutton to this podcast,
Yeah.
and then we'll kill him. No, I'm kidding.
Viva la France. All
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Great.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye.